Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Easy Does It. For those who don't know, in this show, we look at staple flavors one at a time, a little bit closer and in detail, and look at how to use them, its application, and also potentially, easy recipes that they're used in. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about TFA Bavarian Cream, or Bav Cream as we all talk about it, or all refer to it as. When I started out mixing, um, there wasn't a lot of concentrates available, and especially not a lot of creams. I mean, it was Capella and a limited range in Capella, and then TFA, we had a bigger range, and, Flavor West. But Bavarian Cream at that point in time, TFA Bavarian Cream was extremely popular, and it still is today. I had a look at ELR, but the same problem on ELR is there's 4 or 5 different types of TFA Bavarian cream. And I couldn't find an actual TFA Bavarian cream to look at how many recipes it is used in. However, on ATF, it's used in 10,500 recipes, and they're using it at in recipe median of 2.23%. Which was surprising. I thought that would be a little bit lower. What do you guys think?
Well, the other thing that's worth noting there, if one looks at the profile of Bavarian cream on all the flavors, is that TFA at 10,500, the next most popular is FW at 1,506. So if you're talking about market domination, TFA has it. And I don't know, 2.23 is okay for me. One has to remember as well, these are recipes that span several years. So I imagine as mixing progresses, that median percentage will probably, keep dropping slightly. It'll probably drop to under 2, within a year or so. But the thing for me about BAV, it's a very strange profile because you've got TFA as the overwhelming market favorite with FW in a very distant second. But some of the heavy hitters in vaping don't have a BAV. Inawera doesn't have one. Vivora doesn't have one. FA didn't have one until about 3 months ago. It was released as part of their latest one. Vape Train, as far as I know, doesn't have one, or maybe they do. But so it's a strange flavor where it's dominated by the budget brands, TFA and FW, and that's what makes it so great as a beginner flavor. Is because with Bavarian cream you can buy TFA and that's it. You've got Bavarian cream now. It subs quite well for cap and with cap, for FW and with FW. So if you find a recipe that has FW BAV in it and you've only got TFA, you can use TFA in it. So it's one of those fantastic flavors where, as a beginner, you need to buy one bottle, buy a 30 ml bottle of TFA BAV, and you've got your BAV. You don't need cap, you don't need FW, you don't need any of the other brands. You can maybe buy FW if you want one that is slightly lighter and a little bit sweeter. But TFA is basically it's so dominant in the market that you can happily buy that one BAV cream, and that's your BAV needs basically forever.
Yeah. So Rudy, you there's a new guy on the streets in Bav, right?
Yeah, after watching Wayne's Noted and Bavarian Cream a couple of weeks ago, no, not noted, was noted, I think. He compared the four main players in the market. So TPA, obviously, in terms of market dominance, was the forerunner. Then he had Flavor West and Capella, and he mixed them all at 4%, and the results were rather intriguing. The Flavor West and the Capella both scored pretty low at I think it was at 4 or 5% as a single flavor. The Bavarian Cream came out as number 2 in terms of its taste profile as a true Bavarian Cream. And the only thing that the TPA or TFA Bavarian cream lacks is the authenticity in terms of the gelatine that's added generally to a traditional Bavarian cream. And the one that pips it is the new Jungle Flavors Bavarian cream. New, I mean new for us. It's been around, but not, I mean, obviously not as long. So for about a year or so. And the flavor, I just got mine this week, so I haven't mixed with it yet. The flavor, according to the descriptions around it, that it's a bit more superior. It's slightly more creamy, not as eggy, and it's got a fuller Bavarian cream, traditional Bavarian cream, so nice custard, a thick custard, but not as dense in the mouth as a traditional custard. So it's a thin custard. So I haven't used it. I've got 2 recipes. Steeping, I haven't tasted it. I've got 2 recipes with it in. So wait for that to be ready. Then I'll write a review on the forum just to give my feedback. But word on the street is that it's in terms of quality and authenticness of a Bavarian cream, it takes it from TPA. It's also got a slightly better vanilla notes to it. The TPA's Bavarian cream is good. It's very good. Nothing wrong with it. As Richard said, it's a staple. Everybody has it. Everybody should have it, and it works in everything. There's probably nothing that you cannot add Bavarian cream to. It works with fruit. It works with pastries. It works with tobacco. It works in the milkshake. It works in anything. If you look at the various recipes, especially on all the flavors, by most mix, I mean, it's such a vast, complex mixture of different types of flavors that it's in. I mean, from Lish to cocoa, God's milk, cannoli, cereals, dinner lady. I mean, every iconic recipe contains Bavarian cream for a reason. And because, I mean, it just adds that extra dimension. It adds that creaminess, but without being custardy. It does a semi-custard job without being a custard. And I mean, it's stunning. I mean, I would imagine you could probably add it in the best damn pink lemonade, and it would also be good. It's really, it's a phenomenal ingredient to use, and I cannot imagine any DIYer not having a bottle of Bavarian cream somewhere for something, even on its own. Just in terms of use. So I try not to go over 1.5%. The 2.2% as the average, as Richard mentioned, it's probably due to the fact that there's lots of old recipes, and I mean, recipes like God's milk, things like that. So God milk, they use it at quite a high. I can't remember. I'm just opening it up. I think it's used high. So that's at 3%. So that could probably be brought down to 1.5, and it would have the same effect. But 1% for me is perfect. So whatever, when in doubt, add a bit of Bavarian cream.
What I like about it is that it does a little bit of everything without being too much in one. You know, it's a little bit of dairy, it's a little bit of butter, it's a little bit of egg, it's a little bit of vanilla, without being predominantly in one. You know, it's not very eggy or very vanilla. So it adds that nice denseness, that gelatinous, thickness that you want from a cream, and just little accents of flavor throughout it. So it boosts almost anything, as Rudy said.
Yeah, but you also spoke about ingredients that fills out some of the the holes or the gaps in your recipe. And because of it not being a high in vanilla, high in butter, or high in sweetness, it seems like this could be one of those things. It fills out on a recipe nicely, some of the gaps.
It's just a great bed, great base to lay things on top of, because it doesn't draw too much attention to itself, but it also doesn't vanish. It's not like a very neutral cream that just adds texture and then really nothing else. It does have its own taste. One thing I don't get from it, which others have said they do is the maple note.
Yeah,
I mean, I get a very light sort of dark sweetness, almost like a caramel type of sweetness, but very, very light. But I don't get the maple note. I think it was ID10T that was saying he gets quite a pronounced maple note from it, up if he uses it a little bit higher. I've never tasted that. I mean, I get that sort of dark sweetness, just a hint of it, but it doesn't register as maple.
It's maple syrup, right? Maple syrup or some kind of maple.
Yeah, it doesn't really register. I'd say caramel.
Caramel
is closer. I wouldn't say, maple hits pretty hard. I mean, if you look at recipes like Silky's French Toast, which has just got a little bit of FA maple syrup in it, and that maple stands up. There's no mistaking it. It's a very prominent flavour. I don't really get that from Bav, but that might just be my palate. I mean, quite a number of people have said that they do get a strong maple accent.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I can see how they get that, if it's got the darkness and the sweetness. I can see how that can be formulated in your brain as this is maple, or caramel, because it's that dark sweetness to it. Yeah, I mean, what I put down here is same, and it's literally just echoing what you guys have said, darker, heavier cream, vanilla, buttery, creamy notes. I also thought this one is sweet. So if you're using it, it's inherently sweet, your recipe. So you probably don't need an extra sweetener or add a sweetener to it. Also works nice in milkshakes and, also plays nicely with other creams. But like you guys also said, and just echoing that, probably wouldn't go higher than 2%. You might start getting some muting after 2%, or that vanilla might become really strong. So, if you're looking at just the bed, like Richard said, you might want to stick around the 1 and 1.5% around there, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have TFA Bav cream, what are you doing? You should get it.
Yeah, for any new DIY, that is literally, it's among the first 5 flavors that go into your very first cart, because you will find thousands of recipes for it. You'll be using it forever, and that is one of the very few concentrates. I mean, I buy 10 ml bottles of concentrate. Bav is one of the very few where I would go for a 20 or a 30. No problem.
Cool. Okay, guys, is there anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you very much for watching the show, guys. Remember, if you have any recipes with Bav cream that you've tried and you can recommend, please leave them in the comments below so that people can click on those and, look at your recipe. But thank you very much for watching the show. And if there's any questions, leave them in the comments below. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.